All right, we are live. This is the first installment of our new sports talk show. I'm Jonathan Wolfarth. This is Eli Malone, a.k.a. Punchy Boy. You know him on my YouTube channel as Punchy Boy. You are watching Speak Now. To give a brief introduction of what Speak Now is and what it is going to be, this is basically what the Howl was always meant to become, which is really, it just never really evolved into that. The Howl is going to probably move more to commentary on other stuff than sports, but this is going to be sports talk. So let's just dive in right now. LeBron James, the king, the GOAT in some people's eyes. In my eyes, he is the GOAT.
Easily, especially this year.
Has until the end of tomorrow to opt out of his contract with Cleveland.
Which Paul George already has today.
Okay, so Paul George, you're going to have to talk a little bit louder, Eli.
So Paul George already opted out, but LeBron still tomorrow.
So Paul George has opted out. So LeBron has till tomorrow. Let's start this off. What do you think LeBron's plan is this summer?
To be honest, he'll probably re-sign this year. Or, he'll opt in because it's only one more year. I think he'll stay in Cleveland one more year and see what, Colin Sexton will do and all that. I think they have the pieces. They just need to execute a little bit more. I think they're a very young team to the point where this year they started very old and traded away people like Derrick Rose, D. Wade, and Jay Crowder. Those are people especially Wade and Rose. Rose had a lot of injuries, and Wade is really old. He's more of experience, so that's why they picked him up. So I think they're a little bit more attractive, and I think he works better with the roster that they had now.
All right. So you're saying LeBron opts in.
It's only one more year, so it's not like it'll be the end of his career.
What do you think his move has been going into next summer?
I think it depends on what LA does. If LA really gets what they're saying they can do with Magic, then he'll be excited to win. But and he's also put the family into it. His family's always been in Cleveland. They've lived there, so he loves that. But he wants to win. So if LA really shows they can get Kawhi and Paul George, he'll like it. He wants to go there.
See, it's interesting that you said that he's going to opt. You said that LeBron's going to opt in, because I think that LeBron James, even if he doesn't opt in, I think he goes back to Cleveland on a one-year deal. So essentially, I think he's opting in. I agree with you there. And then I think next year he's going to be in Los Angeles.
He will most likely.
As a Clipper, though, not as a Laker. I'm going to say that right now. I think LeBron James goes to the Clippers because of this. Who has one of the executives that LeBron James has always praised? Jerry West. Jerry West knows how to get it done. He has a history of winning as an executive, that Magic Johnson hasn't proven yet. And Paul George, Lakers qualify as technically his hometown team, but he wants to be in Los Angeles. Kawhi just said he wanted to be in Los Angeles, period. He didn't say anything about Lakers, Clippers. He said Los Angeles.
And Paul George expressed one. Yes, he's the one, or not the Clippers, the Lakers. He was the one.
I think that works out because I think Paul George might go to the Lakers, but I think it would be interesting. I think it'd be interesting if LeBron went to the Clippers this year and got Chris Paul to go with him.
Very well, because Chris Paul, he never said that. He did say he's more focused on getting LeBron to Houston, but he should be more focused on his contract and where it's best for him. But at the same time, he probably left LA for a reason, so he may not want to go back. So that's something, especially since LA is very dysfunctional right now, and DeAndre's leaving. So obviously they have more cap space as well.
Yeah.
So they could very well sign him, and they're in the talks for Kawhi as well. And I think 6 or 7 teams trading for him.
Yeah. I think LeBron, Kawhi, Chris Paul, those players need to have a conversation to beat Golden State. Someone's going to have to take less money. That's just how it's going to happen.
And Westbrook may do that as well because he's also friends with them as well.
Westbrook signed long term to OKC.
That's true, but I think he
would have to demand a trade and hope that OKC were to get him out of there, which they probably won't. Yeah, they probably wouldn't. But the reason why I like the Clippers a lot is, well, like I said, LeBron James has always praised Jerry West as
respect Doc Rivers.
Doc Rivers. That's the thing. LeBron James, the best coach he had was Eric Spoelstra, arguably with the Heat. He hasn't really ever had someone that you would consider an elite head coach. Go back to Jordan. Jordan had Jackson. Kobe had Jackson. LeBron's essentially been the coach when he is on.
Especially in Cleveland.
Especially in Cleveland.
Tyronn Lue is not
And I think that really is what makes Golden State's dynasty work, is because they have Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr is a very good coach that knows how to control those egos of Draymond Green, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry. Like that is not an easy feat to control professional athletes' egos, and Steve Kerr does an amazing job at that, and that's why OKC is a dynasty. And I think it's going to take something like that in order to dethrone them. And I think you get Chris Paul, you get LeBron James. Those are the two of the best passers in the game. Like that's actually really key to get a score like Kawhi open. I think that could work. And Kawhi's a good two-way. He is arguably better than Kevin Durant when he's healthy. I know that's a hot take, but he's arguably better than Kevin Durant when he's healthy, and he's younger.
That's why people would consider that, especially since he's a better defender. He's 2-time NBA Defensive Player of the Year in a row as well. And he was healthy those 2 years. He has been healthy, really. I mean, he was healthy 2 years ago, but like this year he's out the whole year. We don't know if that's because he didn't have a great relationship, or because he probably was healthy in about March, and they could have had a chance of beating the Warriors because they did win one game. They had a chance because the Warriors were so dysfunctional. Like they weren't they came to an elite level in the finals. And even the Rockets, they played very well. The Rockets very well could have won that series, but unfortunately, obviously, they didn't have Chris Paul. Right. Chris Paul was a huge part of that team, and they always think James Harden, but he's not the only one on that team. Chris Paul may be better than James Harden.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Another thing with Kawhi, too, why I think LeBron would rather play with Kawhi over Paul George, like why he'd rather wait, is because Paul George is an amazing player, probably on track to being a Hall of Famer. Like very, very good player. He kind of disappeared in the playoffs this year.
I wouldn't say that.
He's not Kawhi in the playoffs. Kawhi is a Finals MVP. Like that's if I'm LeBron James, like. And you know what's amazing about Kawhi? He was the Finals MVP on a team
with Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
And he also had Tony Parker, Ginobili.
Yeah,
they're both pretty good players.
I mean, they were all part of the Spurs dynasty. Like that is something. So I think
George did
LeBron did the Clippers
pretty well.
George
did pretty well. Like he only played one round. He did pretty well in the games he did play. It's hard to play.
It's hard to play with
Westbrook. It's really hard. He's not a good team at all. But I believe he had like an 8 3-pointer game. One of those games. He had like 2 or 3 pretty darn good games. Then the rest are he didn't shoot well, but that's like Paul George. He can go iffy, but as you remember, he can be clutch because with Indiana about when LeBron and when they kept going to the finals, he was very good in the playoffs. He still is, in my opinion. Oh, yeah. And in fact, they could have won that series. They took him to 7. They were a very good team back then, and that's because of Paul George.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we decided you think that he stays. We both think he stays in Cleveland. LeBron's going to stay in Cleveland for 1 year. I think he goes to the Clippers after this year. You think he goes to the Lakers?
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay, so I want to talk about what if he goes to the Lakers this year. What do you think that team's going to look like?
I think that team. I believe the Lakers in my opinion, have to trade for Kawhi. I think if they get Kawhi in that trade, which will probably happen tomorrow or Saturday, then I think LeBron will be a little bit more interested because he wants to see if they can actually get those big name players before he can just go there and say, how do I know if I'm going to have any great players? Because he doesn't have he has Lonzo Ball and Ingram and everything. They're not that proven. They did pretty well, but they've only been in this league for 1 or 2 seasons. Obviously, Ingram, Kuzma, and Ball all have high potential, but we don't know. We haven't seen their full potential if they're superstar at a very good level, and LeBron wants someone to be side by side that's very good. He has a passer in Lonzo, and he has a defender in Kawhi. If he has that, and Paul George will probably come as well, then you'll have a 4, and even you can probably fit Kuzma and Ingram in there. That's a very, very good line that could beat the Warriors easily.
It'd be hard to keep Lonzo, Kuzma, and Ingram, though, to get Kawhi.
I think they'd have to trade at least 2 of them.
Yeah, and
2 of them plus maybe. I think they'll trade Luol Deng to get some cap space as well because he's a big contract and not a good player.
See, and this is where I differentiate with some people because I know a lot of people think that Lonzo Ball should be part of that package. If I'm LeBron, I want to play with Lonzo because Lonzo's such a great passer. I think that really makes a difference with with LeBron
Obviously-
James, so he doesn't have to be the one that always has to facilitate the ball. I think
But
that's
LeBron
really
doesn't. The only thing is LeBron doesn't like LeVar, but I think LeVar will start to calm down. I think after a while, like it's only been 2 years, if people are overreacting, like he's such like a he does. I agree, he is quite crazy, but you have to think he's brought Lonzo in the NBA, and like Lonzo made the UCLA team good when like they weren't that great before that.
Yeah.
So
And the thing about LeVar talks to create headlines. If LeBron's in LA, there's no need for headlines.
there already is.
There's already headlines. There's gonna be headlines every night. I just like I said, I really don't think that LeBron has a preference with the LA teams. I think it's which LA team shows him something. And I think if the Lakers aren't able to show him anything this offseason, he has a history of praising Jerry West. So I think that makes sense. Honestly, I think it would make sense if he even decided to stay in Cleveland, honestly. And that
It depends on what Cleveland does as well. In my opinion, once Ty Lue's contract goes out, I think you should find a new coach because he was okay. Like he drove them to a championship. That was one of LeBron as a coach.
Yeah.
LeBron and Kyrie drove that team. Nobody else.
Tyler makes some good subs and good decisions to start certain people, but in the end, it's LeBron James shows up, you win. That's how it works.
That's the only reason
you
Cleveland
can't
is
win without
what
LeBron
they are.
James. Yeah.
Like maybe if LeBron left and Kyrie stayed, then maybe they'd be decent. But obviously, they weren't great when Kyrie first started. They were not a good team.
Right.
And then LeBron came. They were a good team. I don't know how Kyrie do by himself there. That's obviously why he thought LeBron may move soon. I'm going to move too.
Yeah.
And he didn't like how being second net as well. He wanted first.
Yeah, and another thing why I think he's going to opt in and stay in Cleveland is because I was reading an article on this. At the end of the playoff, when they lost Game 4 to the Warriors, he didn't wave to the fans or anything off the court. Like it was like his last goodbye, or he kind of just rushed off the court, like he was ready to get going and start again. So that almost makes you wonder, like, does LeBron think he's coming back? Because I feel like being LeBron James, like any other superstar, maybe I can understand it, but the dude is from Northeast Ohio. Like you gotta, I feel like that would be something that he would have done is say goodbye to the fans. If he knew he was leaving. Obviously, I don't think he does because LeBron didn't even know he was going to Miami until the day of or something like that when he left the first time. Another point I want to make just briefly before we get ready to switch gears here. How must it feel to be Dan Gilbert, where you have had the greatest player in the NBA, arguably NBA history, twice, and both times you screwed it up because you weren't willing to really put some money into the team and build around him, and you were stubborn and wanted to do it on your own. Like that's just bad for the city of Cleveland. Like
I think
they deserve to have LeBron there. He would have probably stayed his entire career if there was no turmoil in the front office. But
I think the fact is LeBron didn't have anything when he was first in Cleveland, really. I mean,
right.
I think, he had a little bit, but he didn't have what he had with Kyrie at all.
Right.
But I think Dan Gilbert needs to do something this offseason. I think he needs to do something because he didn't do anything, and that's why he went to Miami. He needs to do something because they got Colin Sexton, who now they have we don't know if he's a Kyrie, but he's a very good shooter and a pretty good passer. He's
a competitor too.
He drove Alabama to be in because I think he drove them to the SEC finals. So he's very good.
And some people say that winning those type of games doesn't matter in college. It all matters if
He was the only good person on the team.
Winning matters no matter where you're at.
He beat the Auburn team, which was number 1 ranked by 20 points. And people are college basketball isn't consistent. Well, I mean, he drove a team that had literally no other good player. He's the only good player on that team, the only player that'll be recognized on that team if anyone ever recognizes that team.
Okay, one more basketball point, then we're going to switch gears and do our power rankings for MLB, NFL. Thank you guys for whoever's watching. Shout out to you guys. We appreciate it. You're wearing a Milwaukee Bucks shirt right now, Eli. So we got to talk about that a little bit before we segue on. How good do you think the Bucks can be next year if LeBron leaves the East and they get DeAndre Jordan?
Obviously, I've told you multiple times, DeAndre Jordan likes Milwaukee a lot. I'm pretty sure he likes the front office from what I've heard. He likes how they're making a new stadium, attracting more fans. And I think if LeBron leaves the East, they'll be a good competitor because they have potential of being a top 3 team in the East. They just haven't really shown it, but as they're a very young team. Giannis is only 23, Chris Middleton's under 20. I think Eric Bledsoe's only 30. Basically, their whole starting lineup is basically under 30. They're a very young team, and if they attract probably top 8 or top 9 center with amazing rebounding, which they need, and then nice shot blocking, good inside offense and post offense, it'd be a very good team. Because like the Toronto, they're not really good in the playoffs. Like they always choke when it comes to the second round and stuff like that. And the Celtics obviously will be probably the number 1 seed because they'll have their 2 superstars back. Because if they would have had them, they probably would have won the East. Kyrie and Gordon Hayward. And there's not really like a lot of the teams are getting older in the East, and the East is a lot less competitive. Other than the West, has like the Trailblazers being pretty good. They have other teams that are sort of coming up. Like the Timberwolves could be very good. They just need to sort of connect again. So I think the Bucks could be good, but I think they just need to show it a little bit more because they sort of blew the Celtics series. They should have won it with Celtics only having young talent. But obviously they made it to the finals. Obviously Brad Stevens and stuff like that really taught them very well.
All right. So, yeah, I think they'll be I think if they get DeAndre Jordan and LeBron's gone, they're a top 3 team next year. I think it's simple. Giannis will have the highest potential of any player in the East. Higher than Ben Simmons, I think.
Even in the league, honestly.
That's really true. But yeah, I think they're going to be a sneaky team to watch. So I think everyone's pegged it to be Celtics Sixers the next 5 to 10 years. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Milwaukee's going to sneak in there a couple times.
The Sixers are good, but I think they need to add a little bit more to their team because they're a good team. But I don't think if Fultz turns out, then it'll be better. But Fultz, as right now, is a bust. But he has another year or two to really show himself. Obviously, like the Bucks, they probably blew the DJ Wilson pick, to be honest. Like, I love the guy, but he probably won't be much. He'll probably be at most, maybe a free agent most of his career, play like Little League ball, not up there. So I think if he develops, it could be a better team, but with only Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, they can only do so much.
That's true. All right. Once again, thank you guys, whoever's watching. That was us talking about free agency, specifically LeBron. We just kind of segued there. Now let's get into MLB top 5 power rankings. So, Eli, why don't you start with yours?
My number 1 or just go off?
Go 5 to 1.
So my number 1, 5 to 1. Okay.
Yeah.
So my number 1 is the Mariners. Because, the Mariners.
So the 5th or the 1?
5th.
Okay, so you have them ranked as the 5th. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So what makes the Mariners so good, in my opinion, is not only are they competing with the Astros, and the Astros are an elite team, but they are batting very well. I believe, what's his name? Gene Sakura, I believe, is on their team. He's doing very good. Yeah. And their pitching has got developed. Obviously, Felix Hernandez isn't as good as he used to be, but Paxton is doing pretty well, and the rest of their bullpen is doing pretty well, so the rest of the team is doing pretty well. So I think they could be a solid wild card team to upset people in the division series out of the wild card. I think they could be very good right there.
Yeah, that's an interesting place for 5. I mean, I can see why you put there. If King Felix can find his form at some point this season, that's going to really help the Mariners. I know losing Robbie Cano, and it's true.
Cano will be back.
He'll be back at one point in the season. Gene Segura has been one of the top 3 shortstops in the game right now, or at least in the American League, batting 339-ish, right around the 340 mark. He's always been solid on defense. So yeah, the Mariners are nice. All right, who is your number 4?
My number 4 is the Braves. The Braves have come from being a bottom tier team and terrible, top 5 worst team, to being a very good team because they drafted extremely well. Their pitching is starting to get better. They have Ozzie Albies, which is very good. They have the Ronald Acuna Jr., the number 1 overall pick, and he's turned out to be a very good number 1 pick. And they also have Freddie Freeman and people that have been there all the way and haven't left because obviously they believe in the process. And they are I believe they're second in the division. I think the Nationals are ahead of them from what I remember. So they're doing pretty well. And I think they'll also be a wild card team to watch out for. I don't know how the young guys will do there because they have a pretty young team, but I think they'll do pretty well as well.
All right. Yeah, a lot of young talent on that team. Definitely Dansby Swanson, Ozzie Albies, like you said, those guys could be cornerstone pieces moving forward. Ronald Acuna, a very good player as well. All right, Eli, number 3.
Number 3 is the Yankees.
Yankees.
I think the Yankees, they're a very good team. They're starting to put together the pieces. At first, they were not good, or they were average. They were about like a 500 or just below. They're starting to like catch up to the Red Sox. I think they're 0.5 behind or about there. They're both very close, and like their hitting is doing very well. With Stan starting to do better, Judge is being just about where he was last year. Obviously, they have other pieces. I think Didi Gregorius is doing good. He wasn't as good as he was at the start of the season where he was insane, but still doing very good. And the pitching, obviously, CC Sabathia is starting to resurge. And he's getting older, but he's a future Hall of Famer, in my opinion. He's leading the league in out of active players. He has the most strikeouts of everyone and a lot of wins. And they also have Luis Severino. In the past 2 years, he's thrown a lot of 1 earned runs or lower. Like, I think it's like 17 in the past 2 years. He's probably, obviously, an all-star pitcher this year because he's their ace, I think. They also have a very good bullpen, so I think he'll be solid.
Yeah. The role is, good bullpen. Yeah, they have Chapman in there. Chapman's been lights out. Yeah. Chapman's the number 1 fantasy closer right now for what it is worth, so yeah. All right, number 2.
Number 2 is the Red Sox. The Red Sox are obviously basically the same as the Yankees. They have J.D. Martinez, who is leading the league in home runs. He's batting a lot more consistently than Giancarlo Stanton. So he's like a power hitter, but also like a consistent one, like Stanton was last year. When Stanton had a good average and a lot of home runs, he's doing that this year. And obviously they're pitching. They have Chris Sale, David Price. I believe he's still hurt.
He's doing okay. He's not David Price of old.
He's not the Tampa Bay David Price.
Tampa Bay Tigers.
The first year of the Tigers are on there.
Yeah.
He's not what he used to be. And I believe they still have Craig Kimbrell from what I remember.
Craig is very good, solid.
And they're batting. They have Mookie Betts, Xander Bogaerts. They have Craig Gentry, I believe, is doing very well as well. So they have a lot of good pieces to make themselves a championship-worthy team.
All right. And I think I know who you're going to pick at number 1, but let's reveal it anyway. Who's the number 1 team in the MLB right now?
The Astros. The Astros, I get a lot of people say the Red Sox or the Yankees, but I think the Astros, number 1, they have the championship mentality as they didn't really lose players, they're more game players. And they've drafted very well to become this team. They also added good pitching. Verlander is being extremely well. Garrett Cole is turning back into an ace when he was Pittsburgh because this last year or two he wasn't as good as he used to be. He was still good, but he wasn't as good as his maybe first 2 years that he was an ace.
Oh, he had a ERA in the high 3s last year.
So he wasn't great.
Rough, yeah.
But this year, and then they have Charlie Morton I believe he was on Pittsburgh as well, so they start becoming good at it. So obviously Houston's doing something right with them, and obviously their batting is just insane. They have Alex Bregman, Carlos Correa, George Springer, and Jose Altuve are all very good players. Jose Altuve, former MVP, he's not hitting as high power, but that was last year. He's always hits for average and very he's fast too, so it's not like he just gets a bunch of singles. He gets lots of doubles and triples as well. And their bullpen's actually very well as well. So they're very good all-around team. I think obviously the championship mentality is what drives them in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree. Actually, I'm going to go in reverse order because our 1, 2, and 3 is actually the same. So with the Astros, like you said, with Charlie Morton and Garrett Cole being former Pirates and now thriving with the Astros. I think that this is an example of why good coach teams succeed and others don't. There's just such a difference.
Farming system. That's partially.
That's the front office. That's the coaching. Those are the smart teams. There's a difference between smart teams and dumb teams.
That's why the Braves are becoming good as well, and the Mariners, I believe, are getting a little bit better. That's because their coaching is very good.
Yeah, coaching literally. Can't stress how much coaching means.
That's literally why the Tigers aren't good now. I wish if they had not Brad Ausmus, but Ron Gardenhire, when they were in the World Series, they probably could have won. They had a chance.
Oh yeah,
I think Jim Leyland was still coaching
yes,
the
he
World
was.
Series.
He was.
That was like the year he retired or the year after.
Yeah, I don't think that they would have won with Ron Gardenhire winning the World Series, but I think
They wouldn't have gotten
they would have made the playoffs more times than they did under Brad Ausmus.
and they wouldn't have done what they had done with their players. I think
Yeah.
getting rid of all the players wasn't the smartest decision because we have guys coming up that are good. I think keeping one of those guys as like a veteran, but obviously you got Miggy, but like he's
The
having
problem
injuries.
that I have with saying that Ron Gardenhire we would have won a World Series, I don't think that's true at all because
I said we could have. I didn't say we would.
because the problem was he was a great coach with the Minnesota Twins,
That was
phenomenal
also
coach.
like 14 years ago.
But the reason why they let him go is because he never got it done in the playoffs. That's where I have that problem saying Gardenhire is going to be our savior in the playoffs. I think he'll get us to the playoffs. I don't know if he'll be the savior. But back to the top five. So my number one is the Astros. Jose Altuve is a future Hall of Famer. Will crack the 3,000 hit club. I'm just going to say that right now because I truly believe he will. He's phenomenal player. Best just hitter since Ichiro. Like that's who he reminds me of with a little bit more power.
He was Ichiro like 8 years ago.
Yeah. And so number two, Yankees, you touched on it. Stanton, Judge, those guys, their pitching. Luis Severino's been phenomenal. Roles Chapman's been amazing.
Sanchez on touch on him, and he's doing pretty well. Red Sox with bad Sander Bogarts had a nice core that they could build around for years to come. Chris Sale, one of the second best left-handed pitcher in the game behind Clayton Kershaw. So that's my top three. Number four, I got to give it to the Dodgers. Even though the Dodgers aren't first in their division right now and they haven't been living up to standards so far, they're still just one of the most well-built teams out there, and they're not going to have to worry come playoff time. They're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to have the West won. It's hands up. They're just that good of a team. I think losing Corey Seager is what sort of put them down a little bit. That was huge for them, but I think they're really adjusting well, and once they get Kershaw back, their pitching will do better. I think their pitching is still doing decent.
Oh, their pitching's been phenomenal. With Walker Buehler, the rookie, he's been really good until he went on the DL. Ross Stripling's been really good as a reliever starter. And like I said, the Dodgers, once again, one of those teams that has a really good front office, really good coaching staff. They know how to get done.
And the championship mentality to get there as well. So they're more playoff experience than someone like the Braves or the Mariners, like I said. It's like those two teams haven't been there for like 3 to 4 years.
Right.
The Braves have been more like a little bit longer, I believe.
Braves haven't really won much since Bobby Cox. They did a little bit under Freddie Gonzalez, but not really. They didn't really make it that far in the playoffs with him. But and then my number 5 team, I'm going to get a lot of flack with this because some people are going to say I have hometown bias. St. Louis Cardinals. I understand they're the third team in their division right now.
Their division is
division is phenomenal. I could easily put the Brewers or Cubs in place of here. I'm going to go with the Cardinals because I am going to go as a homer, and I do believe in the talent that they have.
I think they're more experienced than the 2 teams above them. The Cubs are more experienced than the Brewers. The Brewers are just experiencing. Last year they were good, but they're just experiencing. Winning in a way. So in my opinion, the Cardinals, who still have Yachty and Matt Carpenter, starting to do better.
Matt Carpenter. He's been phenomenal. The other day he had, I believe, first player in MLB history to ever get 5 hits, 5 runs, and 2 home runs in a single game. Matt Carpenter he's turned it on for like the last month
from
or two.
From the point where he's at I think 190.
Yeah, he was in the 190s. Yeah, now he's in the 250s. He's got like 15 home runs right around there.
At first, when we first started, obviously we talked. He started to get washed up.
Yeah.
He's not. He's good.
Yeah, Yachty's been phenomenal offensively for them, and he's always going to be Yachty behind the plate.
And he will be our Hall of
Famer. Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer, no doubt about that. Marcell Ozuna's really turned it on.
Oh, that's right.
Carlos Martinez is a phenomenal pitcher. I think he's really underrated.
He's quite young as well.
Yeah, he really is. He's like 25, 26.
Isn't Waka doing decent as well?
Yeah, Waka's been very good. He's on the DL, I believe, right now, actually. But Martinez, Tsunami, he's very underrated, in my opinion, in terms of best pitchers in the league. I believe he's dealt a little bit with injury this year, but he's going to have a really good run this year, for the entire year. Jack Flaherty's been a really nice young pitcher that they've had come up. Jordan Hicks throwing 105, the only player other than Aroldis Chapman to ever do that. So, yeah, I think I really when I look at that team, I really like how athletic they've become, and I really like how they get it done in clutch situations. So, Cardinals are my number 5 team.
I see what you say. So many people will be like hometown team, like you said, and people won't like that pick, but that's a strategical and very good pick from what you're looking at. Their experience and how they are, obviously, they're very good at. It's sort of hard to disagree with it because someone like the Brewers will probably start to decrease a little bit. Like the Tigers were getting good, now they're at an 8-game losing streak. So obviously, somebody will break in that division. It could even be the Cardinals, but they have the most experience. I think that'll help them. Like I've said in most of my teams, that they'll probably experience helps a ton. That's why Tom Brady is so good in the playoffs.
Speaking of Tom Brady, let's transition because we spent a lot of time on MLB. So in case you missed it, Eli's top 5 for the power rankings in MLB right now were number 5, the Mariners, number 4, the Braves, number 3, the Red Sox, number 2, Yankees, number 1, Astros. I went 1 Astros, 2 Yankees, 3 Red Sox, 4 Dodgers, and 5 Cardinals. Make sure to put in your comments what you think the top 5 teams in the major leagues are right now. Now let's go to power rankings in football, and I'm pretty sure you have a controversial top 5. So let's kick it off.
People are going to be very mad about a pick, especially if you're a Patriots fan, just saying right now. So my number 5 will be the Packers. And a lot of people are like, the Packers aren't that good at defense. They have Aaron Rodgers back. Aaron Rodgers is such a good player. They had a good defense every once in a while, but their defense hasn't been great the past 2 years, and he's led them to the playoffs. And he's won a division. Obviously, the Vikings are better, but he can take on the Vikings with his offense because that's how good he is. Their defense just has to get a couple stops because their secondary is iffy, but they're decent. Like they have Clint Dix, which is pretty good. Their D-line's only okay as well. But they have a pretty good offense with Jimmy Graham now. They did lose Jordy Nelson, but they still have a pretty good core in their Packers. And I'm not a Packers fan at all, but I have to be honest. The Packers have always been good with Aaron Rodgers, and they're going to be good again this year.
I have it's like you said, their defense wins championships, and their defense is bad.
Yeah, but it was like when they beat the Cowboys, it wasn't good.
Yeah, you're right, and they've gotten better. I think Jair Alexander, the cornerback that they picked up in the first round, he's going to be a stud.
Yeah, they'll be. Oh, yeah. In my opinion, their defense is slowly getting better.
Josh Jackson from Iowa, the cornerback.
Like they have a good secondary, and if they can stop the run game, I think they'll be okay. If they can have a decent run game stoppage, then you wouldn't be worried about the cornerbacks because they have 2 phenomenal rookies in Clint Dix, which he was. I don't think he was a Pro Bowl player, right?
I'm not sure about that.
He was close. He was pretty good last year.
Very good.
He was like Landon Collins 2 years ago. Like Landon Collins wasn't great. He broke out though, so he could be good again this year. He was like that, in my opinion.
All right, so let's get to your number 14.
My number 4 is the Vikings. Like I said, the Packers. Like I said, the Packers will probably beat the Vikings in the division, but the Vikings not only have they grown so much in the past 4 years, but they have an okay quarterback in Kirk Cousins, but he could get a lot better with experience with a good Vikings team, in my opinion, because obviously they have Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs,
yep.
And then Kyle Rudolph, who's always been good. So he gets experience with a lot better of a team because he never had that great of people to throw to. Like he had Jordan Reed and other wide receivers, but he'll get a feel of very good players. And then obviously their run game, they have their running back. I forgot his name. Dalvin Cook. Yeah, the Lions won that game because he got hurt. That was great, but he's back and he was very good when he was healthy. The Vikings probably would have won the game when he got hurt. I don't know if anyone really cares about that game, but he's back and their defense is possibly the best defense. The Jaguars are questionably the best defense.
Xavier Rhodes is very good.
Xavier Rhodes is
very good.
Him and Big Play Darius Slay, those 2 are the best in the division. They're elite. You can even say they're both top 5 in the NFC because of how good they are.
All right. Number 3.
My number 3 is the Jaguars. The Jaguars show they're a great team by their defense. And they also have Leonard Fournette at the offense. Blake Bortles progressed to a better quarterback than what he was the first 2 years where he threw lots of interceptions he wasn't a very consistent quarterback. Now, obviously, they're a little bit better on offense because Blake Bortles evolved, and his wide receivers are only okay. D.J. Westbrook didn't play that much, but we don't know how he's going to be. But he has Leonard Fournette.
It's true. Yeah.
Leonard Fournette is, yes, a lot of workload. I was like the coach said. He said he'd get 100% of that stuff in the start of the season. That was funny. And he had a lot of carries as a rookie. He did have a little bit of injury problems, but with how good their offense and with how good their running game and their defense is, they're a team to look out for.
Okay, number 2.
Number 2 is the Steelers. I think the Steelers, their offense with Le'Veon, Antonio, and Roethlisberger still doing pretty good at the age he is. They're very good. And then also their defense has gotten a lot better than what it was. In my opinion, they picked up Joe Hayden. He's experienced him pretty well. Or he used to be a Pro Bowler, and I think he could still get back there, except he's a little bit older. Now, obviously, they got T.J. Watt and their D-line. They obviously have a very good D-line as well. And then, obviously, on the offense, they have Juju, which I know you really like. I think he could be a stud with Antonio and possibly the best duo in the league. Let's be honest. There's not that many great duo wide receivers. Like, obviously, Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb used to be a pretty good one. Or Devontae and Jordy. They were very good. And also, there really isn't that many duos. There's one stud, and then there's average guys.
Right.
But I think those two could be very good. And obviously, they have did they draft Mason Rudolph?
Yeah. They
drafted Mason Rudolph, and Ben Roethlisberger couldn't mentor him because he said he was going to play maybe like 3 more years, from what I remember. 3 to 5 more years. He could mentor Mason Rudolph to become pretty good as well, unless Mason Rudolph doesn't stay. But I bet he will because he will probably become the starter there.
Right. All right, number 1.
My number 1 is the Eagles. The fact that they just came off a championship and their team, they didn't really lose anyone. In fact, they have Carson Wentz back instead of Nick Foles driving them through the playoffs. And their defense really did. But they have Alshon, who didn't do great. He did pretty well. He didn't do the greatest, but they'll probably do better. They have Zach Ertz. They have Jay Ajayi, and they got rid of Blunt to have the half and half. It'll be Jay Ajayi. So they'll see how he does by himself. And they have a very good defense. They have obviously a Malcolm Jenkins in the back, and they have a pretty good defensive line as well. So their cornerbacks are only okay. I think they have Patrick. They have Mills, Jalen Mills. He's starting to become better. I think they'll be a pretty good contender as well, back-to-back possibly.
Okay, so here we have some differences, which is good because we really didn't have too many differences in the first one. So my number 5 team is the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, they were definitely my 6. They were iffy. Like, the only thing is I think the Packers just have a little bit more.
No.
They have Aaron Rodgers. I think that's why.
So Aaron Rodgers alone is better than Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram. I know he's suspended, but they're still going to get him back. Mike Thomas.
I get that, but
no, the Saints' offense is so dynamic. Kamara is a stud. The defense is getting better. They're number 5. They beat the Vikings. I don't see the Packers beating them in the playoffs this year.
So they can beat the Vikings, though.
Oh no, that's right.
No, the last.
Okay, they should have beat the Vikings.
That was fun. Yeah, I will say when I saw that,
No,
like, the Saints won. Let's go.
Yeah,
no one's saying to see the Vikings, so I'm like,
no. Saints number 5 team. Number 4. You're going to be surprised that I say this, but I'm going to say it. The Pittsburgh Steelers. I can't put them ahead of the Jaguars because they didn't beat the Jaguars at all last year.
I get that, but they're more like their team was.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't that. It doesn't matter. Like the Jaguars team was young and raw too, but they still beat the Steelers. Like I can't say that the Steelers are better than the Jaguars.
Ben did not play well the game either.
That's not true. The first game he didn't play well. The second game he played phenomenal. They still didn't.
That's right.
They
thought
just
didn't have
win.
a great start. I thought
no. It was a shootout, and it shouldn't be a shootout in Heinz Field. Like that's not. You can't excuse that, and that's just whether you want to say that's on Todd Haley. Sure, I'll go with it's on Todd Haley, but I do like what they're doing this year. I think The problem is the Steelers are going to have a lot harder time this year than a lot of people think because they don't have Ryan Shazier. They are terrible against the run without Ryan Shazier.
So he'll be back this year, right?
No, he's out for the year for sure. He might never come back, but I think he'll be back next year. I really do. I believe in Shay leave, but yeah, but maybe John Bostic does something. Maybe Terrell Edmonds, the safety hybrid that they got in the first round, does something. I don't know. Like that could be a huge game changer. Maybe T.J. Watt steps up and is so dominant. It's unbelievable. He's like
Did he get injured, I believe?
T.J.
Yeah, I thought he got injured for a little bit. Like one or two games,
maybe. TJ should have won Defensive Rookie of the Year. Like he was that good.
He was pretty good.
He was very good. But it's funny that you brought up Antonio and Juju because I think those guys are going to be dynamic. I think Juju this year could jump and be a top 10 wide receiver in the league. Like that's how good Juju really is. But you got to talk about James Washington, the dude that they got to replace Martavis Bryant. According to, I believe, Mike Tomlin has been really high on this kid. Supposedly, he is a big play threat or deep threat than Martavis.
Martavis.
And that's hard to do. Martavis was 6'4" and was fast as a gazelle. Like that's really hard to do. James Washington's only like 5'10", 200 pounds, but he's a trucker, dude. Like that dude just gets into tackles and he just puts his whole body in there. That's why I really like James Washington. I think he's going to be a stud. Steelers have a good history in recent years of drafting solid
Antonio, so obviously
they turned around a 6th-round pick. Juju 2nd round. I mean, look
he's
at
like
Emmanuel
the Tom Brady
Sanders.
of the wide receiver for the draft picks. He's that late. He's turned out this good.
But yeah, no, the Steelers have a lot to prove this year. Like you said, Ben, Bell, Brown, best quarterback, running back, wide receiver trio in the league. All future Hall of Famers. Well, not all, but two of the three could arguably go down as
Le'Veon needs to do a little bit more, but Le'Veon will most likely be.
Yeah, I think Le'Veon's got about 2 more years, and he's all
2 more years of what he's done.
I mean, yeah. Look at Terrell Davis. Yeah,
he didn't do
Hall
of Fame level, no, but he was very good. But he didn't play.
That's my point. Is he wasn't really elite for a long period of time.
He's elite for 2 to 3 years.
He was elite for a good enough stretch, and he was so elite that's why he's in the Hall. I think that will be the case with Le'Veon.
He only had like 13,000 yards.
Terrell Davis, I think he's 9,000.
That's
He's
right,
10,000. Yeah, but no, I like Antonio Brown, best wide receiver in the last 20 years, better than Moss, better than Owens. I know some people are going to be like, but
I think
only wide receiver in NFL history to have 4 or 500.
Yeah.
100 reception years.
Moss and Brown are a little bit different when it comes to how they play, though, in my opinion.
Well, that's because of their size. Like Moss was 6'4".
Moss was Antonio was a more catch and run guy.
I think what makes Antonio great and better than those guys is his ability to run around. His route running.
His route running is what makes him. I love Randy Moss, but to be honest, Antonio has proved a little bit more.
Yeah.
And Moss, obviously, Moss is in my opinion, the 3rd best wide receiver ever. And Jerry Rice is better than him, but Antonio will probably be the best.
I agree, and I think with like Moss, like his thing was like how he was a red zone threat and just blaze past people basically.
Yes.
I think it takes way more technique to do what Antonio does to make Antonio great because Antonio doesn't have that size and those natural abilities that Moss had. I think that's why Antonio Brown is better, is because he is so great at stuff that takes so much time and effort to really master.
That's the reason.
And it's not a diss. I'm not trying to diss like Randy Moss. Randy Moss is an amazing player. Was phenomenal at wide receiver, but I just think Antonio, at this point in his career, is better. I think at some point Antonio will become the first wide receiver to get 2,000 yards. I think doing that will. Unfortunately, I know you don't want him to break Kelvin. It's only a matter of time before someone does.
I just want to wait because Kelvin's officially retired, right?
Yeah, he's retired.
So I just want him to wait till like after he's in the Hall of Fame. So it's like he has that to his resume when he's a Hall of Famer. That sounds so cheesy, but
yeah,
he will be a Hall of Fame. Kelvin, like he's like the Terrell Davis wide receiver, except he did it for a longer period.
Right.
Because Kelvin was like
Kelvin was like the Barry Sanders wide receivers, really.
He was because Barry had
he
retired at 31.
Yes,
and Barry had like 2 straight 2,000-yard seasons.
But yeah, no, I think Antonio's gonna go down as the go. Le'Veon, I think, has a really strong possibility to go down as the go. I know you probably don't like to hear that either.
No, I don't mind. I don't mind. Barry Sanders could have been.
Yeah.
Obviously, like a lot of people, like I agree. If he would have played more, I think even if Le'Veon becomes, I think you could still argue he's best by how shifty he was because he is late Le'Veon. Except
He's like
Barry's,
Le'Veon, except for he wasn't Le'Veon size. Like that's
yeah,
what
I think Barry's faster though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Barry's faster and Le'Veon has the size, so they're like
Right.
very comparable. They'll have, except for the stats, Le'Veon will play longer and have bigger stats.
Okay, back to the power rankings. So number 4 Steelers kind of went off there on a tangent, but that's okay. Number 3 is Jacksonville Jaguars. I agree with you there. Like I said, they beat the Steelers twice at Heinz Field last year. I can't put the Steelers above them. Their defense is scary good. It reminds me of the Ravens defense of the early 2000s. Like that's really how good this
Ray
defense
Allen
is.
and
Ray Lewis.
Ray,
Yeah. No, yeah, that defense. Jalen Ramsey's a boss. That defensive line with Calais Campbell, they're really good. They're going to be a scary team to watch, but I think they're beatable because their offense has Blake Bortles at cornerback. That's what
Who do
makes
they
them.
have a wide receiver except for
Keelan Cole.
Keelan Cole came up at like the last
They
2
think
games.
he's going to be a superstar.
The fact that they just played him in like the last 2 games because
Yeah.
they were already clinched basically at where they were at. He did that and he played pretty well. I'm pretty sure
I thought they got someone in free agency, but I'm not sure because I know they lost Allen Robinson to the Bears, but I'm not.
they did.
I can't remember if they did or not right now off the top of my head. All right, let's keep it rolling. Number 2, because I'm not going to commit blasphemy on the New England Patriots, the greatest dynasty in the NFL history. And it hurts me to say that because I love the Steel Curtain Steelers of the 70s. But it's debated. That's a debate for another time. But anyway, it's blasphemy, Eli Malone, to not have the New England Patriots in your top 5, in your top 3, and you don't have them in your top 5. Tom Brady is the GOAT.
I
Bill
get he's
Belichick
a goal,
is the
but
GOAT.
how good is the team around them? They
It
got
doesn't matter.
worse.
But you use that argument for Aaron Rodgers, and that's why the Packers were in the top 5. It's because Aaron Rodgers is
has
so
a better
good.
team around him.
No, he does not have a better team around him than the New England Patriots.
How?
I will take the Patriots receiving core, not wide receivers, but receiving staff over the Green Bay Packers any day. I will take the Patriots offensive line over the Green Bay Packers any day. I will take the New England Patriots running backs over the Green Bay Packers any day. Their defensive line over the Green Bay Packers any day. Their linebackers over, maybe not their safeties, because Clint Dix is a stud.
How would you take their wide receiver core over the Packers?
2 words. Rob Gronkowski. That's all I have to say.
They have Jimmy Graham and Devontae Adams.
So, you're gonna say that those two are those two equal Gronk?
Gronk can't do it by himself.
Apparently he can though. He's done it for years by himself. And they still have Edelman's got a suspension, but whatever. Performance enhancing drugs. But and you're gonna tell me that Tom Brady doesn't make wide receivers? The dude made Deion Branch a Super Bowl MVP. Tom Brady makes wide receivers around him. They still have James White.
I get that. But
Rob Gronkowski, like, you can't go against the Patriots.
I'm
until
not
they
trying to
start
go against the
losing.
Patriots. It's my opinion.
It's blasphemy. And then number 1, yeah, it's the Eagles without a doubt. Super Bowl champs, one with your backup quarterback. I can't argue with that. Their defense is very good. They have good wide receivers. You said, like, you touched on how, like, Alshon wasn't that great, but I think it's just really the offense that they run. It's more of a spread the ball around type of
He
thing.
wasn't like when he was at the Bears. Were,
But
like,
he was the one target with the Bears. That's the difference. Here they have Aguilar, they have Ertz, they have other guys around him that they can use, and I think that's really the big difference. So yeah, we agree there. Eagles and Jaguars, everything else matter debate. All right, so we missed it. We went through LeBron's free agency, where I think he opts. We both think he opts in with Cleveland. I think he goes to the Clippers next year. Eli thinks Lakers. Our top 5 MLB teams, Eli's was the Mariners at 5, 4 was Braves, and then 3 Red Sox or 3 Yankees, right?
Yes.
2 Red Sox, 1 Astros. I had 1 Astros. 2 Yankees, 3 Red Sox. We were the same there. And then I went 4 Dodgers, 5 Cardinals. Our top 5 NFL teams, Eli went Packers at 5. 4 was the Vikings. 3 was the Jaguars, 2 Steelers, 1 Eagles. I had 1 Eagles, 2 Patriots because I'm not blasphemous. 3 Jaguars, 4 Steelers,
Opinions.
and 5 New Orleans Saints. Eli, is there anything else that you want to touch on before we wrap it up here?
Make sure to watch free agency. If you need you can give us ideas. Just hit up Jonathan. Hit up Jonathan. We obviously, we have a lot of ideas, but we also like to listen to the people watching us. We like to listen to your ideas, and thank you for watching our first one.
Yeah, thank you for watching. Like I said before, this is our first one. This is probably going to be the only one we do on Facebook Live unless we want to just get one quick out. The rest will be on YouTube, more edited, look more professional. This was just kind of a makeshift thing that we did. We wanted to make sure we got this out there before tomorrow. We kind of procrastinated on it. But with LeBron,
2 weeks.
Yeah, for 2 weeks. But with LeBron's free agency coming tomorrow, we wanted to make sure we got this out here as quick as possible. Facebook Live seemed to be the best way to do it. So if you have any suggestions of how we can change up the show to make it more entertaining, make it flow better, let me know. Hit me up in my DMs. Message me on Twitter at EL_JWolf. You can comment on my YouTube. I share a lot of YouTube videos. Subscribe. Make sure to like this video. Comment topics that we can talk about. Promise next time will look a lot better. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good night.
See you soon.
I see you, Brandon, commenting.
What?